Hello everyone, this is Joel Davis with the United Medical Transportation Providers Group. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch this video. As always, I appreciate it and I congratulate you for watching the entire video because we're going to be talking about some very important topics. Ultimately, we're going to be talking about money, making money, which is obviously important. But more specifically, I want to talk about some key topics of rideshare programs, i.e. the Ubers and the Lyfts of the world. I was sitting here with Dan, my trusted right-hand man and online manager, and he was showing me some of the emails that we continue to get almost on a daily basis regarding a bunch of hot topics. But one common one we always get is rideshare and how does that affect your NEMT business. So I can clearly see that for those of you out there who refuse to study my material, refuse to invest the money, you are not being well served by all this free crap that's online, because clearly by your questions it's demonstrating that you're confusing this understanding how this industry works, where it's headed in the future, and how you make serious money. Then the next thing I want to touch on real quick is how the rideshare programs also transition into the Medicaid brokers. Many of you know that a lot of these brokers are trying to piggyback and form joint ventures and partnerships with the rideshare programs. So first of all, it's important to understand that so many communities out there already have subsidized by the government rideshare type programs or curb to curb programs where the user could pay just a few dollars, $2, $3, $4. They have to schedule them in advance, but you have to understand the people who ride those services, those highly subsidized riding programs, is not your target market. Yes, some of them are in a wheelchair. Yes, some of them have a cane or a walker, but they can, for all practical purposes, they're still rather independent. They can get to the curb, they can get into the vehicles. They don't necessarily need you. Your target market. See, so here's the thing. So many people contact us and they say, oh, I'm in the medical transportation business. And as you dig further and you ask questions, you realize they're driving a sedan, a town and country. Their entire business is strictly ambulatory. I got to be honest with you. Yeah, you may be transporting some elderly people to and from some doctor's appointment, but you are not in the medical transportation business. You're just a taxi service. And I don't say that to disparage anybody, but you're confusing who and what you are. If all you do is ambulatory work, you're never going to be able to go after serious contracts. You're never going to be able to get into serious facilities, and you're never going to be able to make big money. You could transport someone from point A to point B for $20 ambulatory, but that same trip that's a wheelchair could be 60, 70, 80 bucks, 120, 130, 140, if not more with a stretcher. That's where the money's at. And once your wheelchair and stretcher are accessible, that's when you can go after serious government contracts and start making real money. So how does all this influence by the ride shares, the Ubers, and the Lyfts? Well, think about what's going on right now. Again, I always tell people, you're not building your business just for today. You're building it for 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. That's why you need to develop your exit strategy in advance. Where are you going to be? How much money do you want to make? How much money do you need to make so you can have a nice, smooth, profitable exit strategy? Let me tell you, if all you're doing is ambulatory work and you're just that Uber driver, Lyft driver, hence taxi driver, you are on borrowed time. Pick up the newspaper, read online, do some simple Google search. You're going to be replaced by technology. And here's the best part about it. Take Ford and all these other car manufacturers. The CEO that recently got fired by Ford, Mark Fields, he just got fired. But prior to that, he said that by the year 2021, they're going to have driverless, autonomous cars that are serving in the rideshare programs. You take Uber, who said within 10 years, they're going to be completely driverless cars. Their entire fleet is not going to have a driver. So understand what you're doing right now. If you're driving for Uber and Lyft, yeah, you can make a little bit of money, and that's great. That's cool. You know, I compliment that. Okay. But you're working to build someone else up. You're building someone else's network. You're making someone else a lot of money. You're helping them build, because all the while you're driving for Uber and Lyft, They are reinvesting into technology to replace you. So you say, well, how does the Uber and the Lyft, are they going to take over medical transportation? It will never happen if you are a true medical transportation provider, i.e. you're literally contracted with and you're going in and you're providing assisted transportation, the wheelchair, the stretcher transportations. You're literally working with people who have legitimate physical and even mental restrictions and ailments, and they need legitimate assistance. I mean, think of the liability nightmare it would be for hospitals and nursing homes to have all these rideshare drivers just roaming their halls trying to find patients. It's never going to happen. So again, let me go back to how I first started this video, where all these communities, they have these highly subsidized rideshare programs. Essentially, they're already rideshare programs. So what happens is those people are curb to curb. Whereas you, a legitimate medical transportation provider, you are not curb to curb. You're door to door. You're door through door. You legitimately help and provide assistance to people. So now let's start tying this in with the Medicaid brokers. Why do Medicaid brokers, why are they partnering with the rideshare programs? Because they see what the future is going to bring, driverless cars. So many businesses we work with right now only do work with Medicaid brokers. So we have to work to transition them out of it. If all you do is work with a Medicaid broker, you're on borrowed time. Because as time goes on, they're going to continue to ride the wave and the frenzy and the coattails of all these rideshare programs. That's why Medicaid brokers love ambulatory transport. Number one, all they want are independent contractors. Independent contractors. Now let me talk about independent contractors for a second. Notice the Ubers, the Lyfts, all these resources online, all these ventures you can get into, Medicaid brokers, they drool over independent contractors, independent operators. But understand, can you make a little bit of money? Yeah, but all you're doing is creating a job for yourself. You're not building a growing and thriving business. That's why when you listen to all this free crap online, all it's doing is enslaving you. It's keeping you a sharecropper to make just enough. Do you realize that when you work only for, let's say, Logistic Care or MTM, and you think you're a medical transportation provider, but all you're doing is ambulatory and maybe some sparse wheelchair transports, do you realize you're only getting 30-40% on each transport? And do you realize, like, if you get there and there's a cancellation, you don't get paid, but guess what? The broker still gets paid because it's called a capitated rate. They get paid regardless whether you perform the transport or not. They get paid. And again, the brokers are laughing all the way to the bank. All you're doing is making the broker rich. All you're doing is making Uber and Lyft rich. Because guess what? While you're filling their pockets so they can reinvest in technology, they are slowly working to phase you out. You know, and again, let's look long term. The other frenzy right now, everyone wants $15 per hour minimum wage. Hey, that's awesome, man. I want people to make as much money as they possibly can. But guess what? $15 per hour minimum wage is going to kill a lot of small businesses. So what's going to happen? All these people who are looking for jobs, they're going to fall into all these frenzies of what? Independent operators, because that's going to be where they can make the money the fastest. But they're not making money. They're not building growing and thriving businesses. All they're doing is building themselves a job. So, and here's another thing that is absolutely crazy. Here's another big mistake we've seen countless times. So many of these people that become so fixated on Medicaid brokers, it's government money, it's guaranteed money, I got to get this money. You have to understand that's all low-hanging fruit. Anyone can get that. It's all low-hanging fruit. So when you ask them, do you have any contracts? Oh yeah, we're contracted with MTN. Oh yeah, we're contacted with Logistic Care, Access to Care, or any of these other brokers that are continuing to pop up all over the country. Oh yeah, I got contracts. No, you don't. You're just sharecropping for them. But what happens is when they start to go outside just the broker work, they continue to use the brokers' dispatching services and they piggyback off all their electronic transfers and everything. But here's the problem. When you build your business exclusively around a broker, what happens when they lose the contract? When they lose that contract, you lose everything. Everything. So all too often we see transportation providers who literally intertwine their business with the brokers to such a degree that when they lose the contract, they just lost 100% of their business. Because even if they're doing business with a hospital or a nursing home, but if they're using Logistic Care or MTMs, if they're using that dispatching service, guess what? They just lost it. So now anything that they were doing outside of the transportation broker, they just lost it all because they lost the broker's dispatching service. So if you're not going to use, like we have Dispatching Made Easy, if you're not going to use Dispatching Made Easy or some other service, and you think you're going to continue to go after private pay or contracted work, and you're going to dispatch that off the broker system, you're absolutely crazy, because I assure you, these brokers are competing so heavily. We see it every single day all over the country fighting for real estate. I mean, these guys are sharks in the water because there's so much money out there. So when you become so intimately intertwined with these brokers, when they lose the contract, and your broker right now, who you're contracted with and you're doing work with, they're gonna lose the contract. It's only a matter of time. So when they do, your house that's built on sand just collapsed. So say goodbye to it. So again, can you make money with brokers? Yes, if you do it smart and soundly. But again, I always use the alligator analogy. Working with brokers is like a pet alligator. It's an alligator. Feed it like an alligator. Know it's an alligator. Brag to everybody, this is my pet alligator. But don't ever make the mistake of petting it like a dog or trying to play fetch with it like a dog, because you're going to get eaten alive. So do work with brokers as long as it's profitable. Make that only one of many elements and components in your diverse business portfolio. There's a lot of money to be made out there, but don't think you're something you're not. When you're only doing ambulatory work, and you're only working for a broker, and you think you're in the medical transportation industry, no, you're not. Being in the medical transportation industry allows you to go after strong contracts and opportunities, service agreements with facilities, government contracts. You can't do that if you're basically operating as a rideshare service or a taxi service. So again, to so many of you, I've beat the drum so many times. Hey, what you don't know can not just hurt you, it can destroy you. And we're seeing it all the time by all these questions and emails that we get on a daily basis. What you don't know can hurt you. What you don't know can destroy you. So please, I encourage you, stop listening to all this free crap online. Invest in the material, study, learn. Before you spend money, learn and educate yourself and understand this industry. Because I'm going to tell you right now, the industry, bottom line is this: the elderly population will double by the year 2030. That's all you need to say. So opportunity is there. The question is, how are you going to go after it? So thank you so much for taking time to watch this video. I hope my little rant here, which it was very much a rant, I know it was, but I hope you watched the whole thing. But I hope for some of you, it may have been a little bit of a wake-up call, and maybe you got some good nuggets of information. And I encourage you to continue to watch, because watch your emails, because in the coming weeks and months, I'm going to have some good content coming out with some great opportunity that is going to make some of you, I stress some, not everybody, but it's going to make some of you who are in the right position a ton of money. So stay in touch. I look forward to hearing from so many of you. I look forward to hearing so many of you who are realizing I need to stop listening to all this free crap online. And as always, I'll see you at the top.